Today on Let's Talk About It, we will discuss our in-laws and extended family, and then later we will have the Davis family join us to share about a day that has changed their lives. Today I want to talk a little bit about the character of God and how we see Him. Sometimes I see God as I should, and then some days I for sure don't. Not because He's changed in any way, but because I have. My heart or my emotions might be tangled up in life, or maybe they are right where they should be. But most often, how I see God can be so dependent upon what I let into my heart and head that very day. The Bible tells us, though, that God is our advocate. He is our friend. He is a good father. He is powerful, all-knowing, full of compassion, that He is faithful, merciful, and full of love. And we find so much more about who He is as we begin to study the Word. But because I'm fickle and life can change at the drop of a hat, it's not just enough for me to study it one time, to hear these things every now and then about Him. You see, I need to be willing to ask myself daily, Kelly, today, do you trust God and what the Word says about Him? Do I believe that He is a good God today? Do I believe He is my advocate today? Do I believe He loves me today? Do I believe He will be faithful today? Do I? And if the answer is no, or if I'm wavering today, then why is that? What may be causing it? What has shifted or may need some shifting? Did I spend time in the Word? Did I spend time in prayer? The mind and the heart are constantly needing a recharge or a refill. And we need to understand there will be days when we walk it out better than we walk it out other days. But here's the thing, He absolutely hasn't changed one bit. Hebrews 13:8 tells us He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. We may waver, but He does not. So let's stand on that very truth today. Thank you, God, for being unchanging in the midst of an ever-changing world. And we are just three ladies, all with big opinions, always backed by a biblical standpoint. So let's talk about it.
This segment is brought to you by Harry's Construction, whose motto is, "If you can dream it, we can create it." They are the kitchen and bath design experts, so call Harry's Construction for all your remodeling needs.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It, and girls, we have a good one, especially since my father-in-law's in here helping record this episode.
That's exactly right.
But we are going to talk about in-laws and extended families as I get a dirty look from my father-in-law. So, you marry into this family that may not be like yours or what you're used to, and we have to learn how to navigate some of that, and how do we do that, and what does it look like? So, who wants to talk first?
Teresa?
I didn't really have a problem with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. They were always there for me. I didn't always agree with them, but I lived far enough away that it didn't really affect me, I guess. But maybe like my husband's siblings, things would get rough from time to time. And I remember when my mother-in-law came to stay with me, and me and my sister-in-law, it was really John and his sister, but I kind of got drugged in it.
Yeah.
And things were very, very ugly and very rough.
Really?
And very,
that's so hard.
very, very rough and very hurtful. And matter of fact, my mother-in-law ended up going to live with my sister-in-law, and we went down to visit. It was ugly. I mean, ugly. I felt it, and but on the way home, my mother-in-law tanked, And something happened after we left that we knew that her time on this earth was coming to an end. But I had told my husband, I will go down Wednesday after work and I will stay till Sunday night and I will help Bev with Gwina because I knew that it was a lot for my sister-in-law. And I did that for 3 weeks. And I feel like, not that I'm a saint, but I feel like by looking at the bigger picture and laying it down, and she had to lay some things down to let me come and stay in her home. And we're bonded now, I think, for the rest of our lives over that 3-week period of taking care of my mother-in-law. So I think there are times when you have to let things go for the greater good. And I was able to do that, and she was able to do that. And I have a very great love and respect for her today.
Awesome.
I love that.
I do too.
You know, because Mark 3:25 says, and if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand.
That's exactly right.
And we want our houses to be full of joy and peace and love and all the things that God wants for our families.
That's right.
And so, you know, it's so important that we do learn how to navigate the differences and work through them. And
it's not easy.
No,
it's not.
It's not, because it's different.
That's right.
And we're used to, you know, what we grew up with, what we know. And so then all this new stuff is brought into the mix, and you have to learn how to move through that. You know, luckily for me, and I'm not saying this just because he's here, I do have great in-laws. I had a great mother-in-law that I miss greatly, and a father-in-law, and they support us. They're there for us. I've never felt any really negativity, to be honest. I really am blessed in that area. Now, some of the extended family maybe is a little different sometimes for me on their end and on my side too. You know, of times when I've had to like work through things that I didn't always maybe make the right choice and say the right thing.
But you choose to work through it. You choose to make it better. You choose to take the high road. You choose to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
My John is the youngest of 7, and he was Helen Collins' baby, no doubt about it. His sisters will tell you that. And when we started dating and got engaged, I knew that if his mom, Helen, did not like me, that his 5 sisters would not like me. They're a very close-knit family. And I'll tell you what, my goal has always been to be the kind of mother-in-law that Helen was to me. She loved me well.
Oh,
And she accepted my quirks and my faults and loved me anyway. And I have a great relationship with her daughters. And I attribute that to her. I mean, I love the Collins family. And Helen was a beautiful soul that has been gone a long time now. And there are some days I still think, I really wish I could call her.
oh.
I wish I could call her. There was one time, we had not been married very long. I was making something with gravy. And John said, I think I'm going to call Mom and ask her how she does hers. I said, well, you go right ahead. And he called her, Mom, can you tell Arlene how to make your gravy? I could hear her. Johnny Collins, don't you ever call me again and ask me. Arlene is a good cook. If she wants to know how to cook something, she can ask me herself, but don't you ever do that again. And I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
My mother-in-law loves me.
That's awesome. I love it.
And I love my sisters-in-law and my brother-in-law, who has since passed. But yeah, I love John's family.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and John and my sister enjoy doing a lot. We've been friends for a long time. I mean, we've been married 42 years. I mean, they go to football games together or fish and do things. I mean, we have really been quite intentional about.
Intentional is a good word.
Yeah.
About our
If
family.
you want it and you desire it and long
you can make it happen.
you can.
Yeah.
You can make it work. You know, I think the only complaint I really ever had is Thanksgiving. And I talked about it before. You know, the first Thanksgiving I went to their families, I was like, why is there lasagna or raviolis or whatever it was? I'm like, I don't understand. It's supposed to be turkey. And there was turkey there. But for me, that just threw me for a loop because it wasn't something I was used to, you know? So you're used to having it a certain way and look a certain way. And you have to be okay with how they did things.
I mean, think about what marriage really is. You're taking two people from two totally different families and throwing them together hormonally most of the time. You know, initially it's all looks and hormones, and saying, okay, now everybody get along.
Right.
You know, that's crazy.
And like for me, like now I have 3 kids that are all 3 married, and I have to be gracious.
That's right.
I have to say, you know what, Kaylee, if you can't come to my house for Thanksgiving, I get it. It's okay. We have to share and share.
Right.
I mean, deep down, I'm like, but I will do the right thing because I want to see Noah. But
that's right.
But I know other people want to see Noah, and it's the same with Justin and Bailey. Like I said, I get it. If you need to go over there, it's okay. Just come and see me at some point, and we'll have dessert. Like I feel like it's a give and take.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and now I have a new daughter-in-law who's coming to my house, and staying with me for the first time. And I'm really excited about that. She sent me a text. She said, because she's from Beijing. She has no one over here, no one. She said, thanks for being my mom in America. And that's a very high honor, I feel.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And is she, you should make sure to do something that is specific that she's used to.
Yes.
You know, something traditional for her.
Yes. Now, because we're talking about in-laws, at some point, my father-in-law gave me this, and he must have given it to me when I was at their house, and he's been dead for 4 or 5 years, so I don't even know when. And it was in like a pouch, like a velvet pouch. And he must have handed it to me because he used to buy stuff from Danbury Mint. And he said, I just must have thrown it in my purse thinking, I don't know, threw it in there. I just found this recently. And honestly, it's for a daughter-in-law. It says like, daughter-in-law, we're so glad you're in our family. We love you on the back. So now that I found it after all these years and never gave it the time of day, which makes me sad, I love it. It's like I wear it now all the time.
Yeah.
So I was loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as we're talking, it seems like we mostly have good experiences. And
That is not true for everybody.
That is not true for everybody, and sometimes it's very
we're aware of
hard.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if it's hard for you guys, you know, I would just say pray on it. Find ways that you can step into their lives. I know it's hard. Like I can't imagine.
Well, and boundaries are important.
Yeah.
Sometimes moms are not good at respecting boundaries.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like honestly, Troy married into my family, and that was probably the more difficult. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But, you know, we have a crazy family, but the nice thing is we've always done so much with our family, with his family. We try to connect with both, and I really appreciated that we can do that. And I hope that continues as my sons
yes.
one day get married, that we can continue what you now are starting, because it is a special thing.
It really is.
Yeah. So if you guys have trouble with your in-laws, I just encourage you to find a way to navigate through, to pray on it, and do what you can, because family is important, and family should be loved. And when we come back, we will have our guest for the day.
For generations, Dick's Home Care has been providing the best equipment and service for patient care at home. Breathe easier with oxygen from Dick's Home Care. Oxygen concentrators give you a continuous oxygen supply at home. Oxygen cylinders supply oxygen without power. And portable oxygen frees you to go. Dick's Home Care technicians will set your oxygen up and make sure you know how to use it. Call the leader in home medical equipment, Dick's Home Care.
Next time on Man Up, we'll have my good friend Dr. Peter Jowdry and discuss dysfunction in the church.
And so the problem I wanted to solve was, again, how do churches recover from systemic dysfunction and conflict and of course it has to relate to your mission. My mission was, I was a pastor of a church that was seriously dysfunctional and chronically dysfunctional. Their normal was everybody else's abnormal.
All that and more coming up on Man Up.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. And I think we just have an incredible story to share with you guys today. I'm so excited to have you all three with us. Could you just share who you are?
My name's Jennifer Davis, and I'm Spencer's mom.
My name's Spencer Davis.
I'm Dave Davis. I'm Spencer's father.
Awesome. And you know, I don't know if you guys have been watching the news or.
I was going to say, everybody's going to know
Yeah.
who these people are.
I would
Once they
think.
start their story.
Once you start the
Yes,
story, everyone.
everybody's going to know. Yeah.
But tell us about a big day that really changed and impacted your lives in a huge way.
Yeah. So September 18th was a normal Wednesday, and Spence was at football practice and took a hit to his chest and collapsed. And thanks to the immediate response of our coaches, they started CPR after about 30 seconds. Contact.
Oh, it was that quick.
It was that quick. I mean, he started to make like, he collapsed. They went to see if he just had the wind knocked out of him. And he started to make like a gurgling noise in his throat. They took his helmet off and started CPR immediately. Notified our trainer, who was on the football field at the stadium, and she came over with her gator. When she got there, she started rescue breathing and they put the AED on him. And he required 2 shocks.
Oh my word.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow.
And I was there. I was.
You
Oh,
were
so you were.
I was there.
Practice.
I walk after work while he's at practice, and I do like my exercising at that time. And typically I do a completely different route. And that day, for whatever reason, I keep saying it was like divine intervention.
Absolutely.
I walked down past practice and I looked over and saw somebody was down and couldn't see who it was. Kept walking. I mean, kids get hurt in football all the time.
Never imagined.
Yeah, and I would have never thought it was Spence. And the coach kind of cut me off halfway down the path and said, "Jen, you need to get over there. That's Spence down." And I was like, "What happened?" And he said he took a hit to the chest. And so I like started to go across the field, and the kids were still practicing. And the closer I got, I saw that they were doing compressions. So I sprinted through practice, and yeah, when I got there, I got to his head, and he was like, I'm telling him that I was there, and you know, to hang on, and his lips were like this crazy blue color, and his eyes rolled behind his head, and that's when they put the AED on, and
Spencer, do you remember even getting hit?
No,
Okay.
And how old are you again?
16.
16. So at 16, you don't think?
No.
I mean,
He's not like, he's not fragile.
Right. Right.
So like what?
So it was they were practicing special teams for the game on Friday, and he took a hit to the chest. Like the kid came over and like shoulder to the right spot of the chest at the wrong beat, and his heart went into like arrhythmia, and he went into cardiac arrest.
Wow.
so this, I think I know, but it's a certain time. Like it has
It
to
is,
be like
yeah.
a specific.
It is a specific. It's a 1 in a million.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 1 in a million, and I don't know, what was it, a year or two ago that it happened to
To DeMar.
Yeah,
DeMar
so
Hamlin.
that just is crazy.
And the same thing, like
Oh,
he
it
just
was
got
the same
it was the
thing.
same thing. It was commotio cordis, and it was literally the hit at the downward beat of the heart, and it literally is like they said it's like
30 cases from 2020 to now.
Oh my.
and it's literally like that 1 millionth of a millisecond that beat
At the
is
right
there, and it's
connection.
that right time.
Okay.
And I mean, Spencer is literally a miracle. Thankfully, the school had an AED because CPR does a lot and it keeps you going, but because of their quick action in the AED, Spence had no neurological issues. He was awake on the ambulance going to the hospital. Like he was screaming in pain because of the CPR. His ribs were broken.
And that is just in case people are wondering, that is normal.
That is normal. Like
That
if
your
you're
ribs get
breaking,
broken, if they're doing it
Yes.
correctly, your
Yes.
ribs will get broken when you have CPR done
correct.
to you. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
So it can really happen to anybody.
It can happen. You have the same odds that he had. And it's crazy because everybody has seen it on football now.
Right.
But it happens more often on in baseball, in Little League, because of that closeness of your pitcher
Really?
and the infield to the bat, the ball coming off the bat, and lacrosse. Lacrosse are the two popular sports
Really?
that it would
Wow.
happen in.
Would have never thought.
Dave, what was that phone call like?
I was about 45 minutes. I was at work, and it was about an hour and 15 minutes away from the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
So whenever they transported him by ambulance to the hospital, I was an hour and 15 minutes out. I might have made it there in 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Violated every single
That's right.
Hey, that's okay.
That's right.
That's okay.
That's right.
Every single law was broken that day on my
I
route
get
to
ya.
Altoona Hospital.
Yeah.
Yep. And so life has changed.
Life has changed. While we were at the hospital, the first thing, Spence doesn't remember Wednesday at all.
Okay.
The first thing he remembered, we talked about on Thursday.
That's what I was going to ask. What's the first thing that you remember?
I just wanted to know what happened.
Yeah.
And his first question to us was,
I wanted to know who hit me because I knew they felt responsible.
That's what I was thinking. Like, this poor kid is probably beside himself.
yeah. Well, and he brought that up.
That shows your heart.
Maturity.
Thank you.
It really does. It does.
He looked at me and he was like, Mom, who's responsible for this? I was like, buddy, you just had cardiac arrest. Like, let's worry about your recovery. He was like, no, somebody is sitting at home feeling horrible because they did this to me. And yeah, that was like, oh goodness. So I texted his coach and said, please, we don't know who this is, but please let them know that Spencer's okay and he's gonna be okay.
How long were you in the hospital then?
7 days.
7 days.
And so what has happened since then? Obviously, you're fine. Are you fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything's good.
Yep.
Everything's
Can
getting
you-
back to normal.
Can you
Play football?
Play
Right.
football?
That's what I was wondering.
They said I could go back, but baseball's been my sport.
Okay.
So
just focus on?
focusing on
Okay.
baseball. Yep.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What you guys are doing some big things.
So one of the things Spencer said while we were in the hospital during recovery, it was the first day that he got out of bed and was walking, and we were standing outside. They have an atrium, like an outside garden, and we were out there and he got really emotional, and I was like, buddy, what's wrong? And he said, why did this happen to me? And I was like, I don't know, buddy, but we have two options. We could dwell on this or we could make changes. And he was like, we need to make changes and make sure that if this ever happens to somebody else, that they have the same outcome that I did. So I got in touch with some of my friends, and in the last 11 weeks, we have started a foundation in Spencer's name. And with that foundation, we want to help people get AEDs and become CPR and AED trained and or certified.
Because not all schools have those machines.
Not all schools have them.
Yeah.
Not all schools have enough to cover their campus. We're very fortunate that our trainer, Amy Schmierman, had one on her cart because the location of the one on the football field where she was would have just added minutes to his, like the response to him. But some schools, don't have any. Some might have one in their nurses station, and so.
So are you doing fundraisers, or what is it that your foundation is doing?
Right now, we're working with Zoll to help promote
Awareness.
the awareness and the need for. And people have made donations. They've mailed donations in.
Okay. People who know you.
People who know us. We had a big event a couple weeks ago at the high school.
Okay.
People made some donations there and came out and learned some CPR and AED usage. And we're hoping to have a couple big events over the next year or so, and get
Where
things.
can people find out about your foundation, and what's the name of it?
It's the Spencer Davis Foundation, and we are on both Instagram and Facebook right now.
Okay.
Awesome. I love that we got connected and that you guys were able to come and share your story, because I think it's very powerful. And I think, people don't know a lot about it, and we really do need to get the information out there so that these schools and other areas are better equipped. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we will have our tip for the day.
Impact Productions, a multi-layer technology company providing on-site, online, and in-studio video services. Contact Impact Productions to capture your story.
Made by Vogel is a father and son business that produces high-quality handmade wooden products such as cutting boards, bowls, bottle stoppers, and more. Products for sale can be found on their Etsy site or in downtown Altoona at the Clay Cup. You can't go wrong buying from Made by Vogel.
Next week on Let's Talk About It, we're going to discuss our failures, and Sheriff Jim Ott will be our guest.
But we do it because it's a calling. As in many things, we're answering a calling. So when we have a month like January 9th or a day like January 9th, but where the community reaches out and extends their appreciation, it means a lot. But we're not doing it for that. But when it happens, it's very comforting to feel.
All that and more next week on Let's Talk About It.
It's been a while since I've highlighted a local business, and I would like to do that one today, the Village Pantry in Tyrone. You see, they have a restaurant on the lower level that offers home-cooked food. And the neat thing about this place is that when you go, you put all the food that you want on your plate, and then they weigh it, and that's the price that you get. And I just recently heard that they have the best milkshakes. Now, I haven't got to try one yet, so the next time I go there, I'm definitely going to. Not only do they have a good restaurant, but they also have a party room on the second level. And I've been able to host a few of my ladies' Christmas parties there now. And I've always been so very pleased with the food, the price, and just how helpful they always are. I don't have to set up a thing or tear it down, which I love. They have a great food selection to choose from also. And last but not least, because this girl loves to shop, there is a store attached to the restaurant that has lots of great foods to choose from, candies, fruits, soups, and so much more. The Village Pantry is a business that's owned by a Christian family that I highly recommend giving a try. And until next time, let's talk about it.